Hello and welcome to GrowerCoach.com. Ken Salvail here today, talking about plants as I always do. And today, this particular plant is an interesting rose. And this thing is blooming. You'll see these all over the place in people's yards, especially here throughout the Okanagan Valley. We seem to have a lot of them around. And they grow as a climber, so they get quite large and they kind of sprawl out and they can be trained on trellises and that sort of thing. But what's an interesting thing is that this is not actually the rose that you think it is. This particular rose is the root stock of a hybrid tea rose that was here years ago. So at the time that the rose froze back and died, and it was cut off, and then all of a sudden these little shoots started coming up, and it didn't get dealt with, and so there it was growing away. And so we left this one just to grow so that we could see and so we could show you what these look like. They're very common. You'll see them all over the place, but they're not a rose that anybody really purposefully planted. They're a rose that is literally a root stock. So they're just a seedling rose that's commonly used for grafting for all your different types of roses. So when you see this one, you know your rose has gone wild. They won't bloom on the first year's growth. So you see all these long shoots that are shooting up around on this plant. They're just not going to bloom this year, but they bloom next year. And so these ones down here that are low, these are some shoots that were left from last year, so that's why they're blooming. But anyway, this is one of the things that we look for when people say, gee, I wonder if my rose has gone wild. Well, when it changes color, that's one of the symptoms for sure. But often you'll buy a house and it's got this particular red rose. So I want you to remember this one, that it's not really very great. It only blooms once. It can be okay, but it gets really, really big actually. And it's the actual roots from one of your hybrid roses that was a really good variety, I'm sure, at one point. So anyway, I just want to pass that on. I'll try to include the actual botanical name for this one in the video so that you can just see what it is for interest's sake. And just remember that almost all roses are grafted, and they're grafted onto some kind of a seedling, which usually has sort of a mediocre kind of result as far as roses go. So you lose the spectacular one and you get this. So there you go. That's it for today. Thanks again for tuning in to Grower Coach.